All right. Welcome, everybody, to our ZBrush Masters stream. So for those that have never joined us for these before, we are having a weekly special guest streams with some amazing artists. So tonight's artist is Daniel Bell, the prolific collectibles sculptor, who is currently working with Sideshow Collectibles. So he's also got wonderful mood lighting going on there in his his room right now. So we're super excited to have Daniel be a part of our series here. This is the end of season 1. Season 2 will be starting up next week. I'm sure if you saw that graphic in the beginning, Maddie Spencer is going to be coming up next week. But I'm super excited, Daniel, to have you here. Thanks for doing this and being a part of this. I know a lot of people are ready to go. So Daniel, thanks for coming.
Having me here. It's a pleasure. It's real pleasure, real honor. As guys.
So Daniel will be going. I'll be watching and monitoring your guys' chat. So for the questions that I can answer by text form, I'll type it out for you. If there's questions coming through from Daniel, I'm going to be compiling those and picking opportunities to ask Daniel questions as we go through here. But perfect. I can't get past your lighting. It's just, you're drawing me in right now. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I know. That's why I did it.
Okay. All right, so I'll let you take it away, Daniel.
Okay, perfect. What's up, guys? Good night to everyone. It's a huge pleasure to be here. I'm super excited to start this. So today I want to show you some of the process I use for creating characters. And I divided this presentation in 3 steps or 3 parts. So the first part, I will show you some of the things I look for when I'm using references. We were talking about the importance of using references, what things you should take, or consider are the best to get the best results in your sculpts. Then the second part, we are going to analyze this guy that I have here on my screen. This guy that I made it for this presentation. We're going to talk and analyze the sculpting workflow that I use, which is the same workflow I use in my professional work or daily job. And the third part is basically putting in practice the point 1 or the part 1 and 2. So that's that it means we're going to start from scratch, or better say from a mannequin, like this, and trying to use it as a base mesh. We are going to play with this guy and try to make it make something close to this here. Of course, we only have 2 hours, and actually a little bit less than 2 hours after I finish the part 1 and 2. But the idea is to to have good time, and to Paul, he will be telling me some of the answers, or better say the questions you have, and I will try to answering you. So let's start it, right? Okay.
Before you get going, Daniel, they're saying your audio is a little low. Can you double check your OBS and make sure your audios are turned up on your microphone and your desktop audio? Just double check that for us, please. Behind the curtain, everybody.
Let me just. Everything is it's up, but let me crank a little bit more. So can you hear me better right now?
I'm hearing you fine, but other people were chiming in saying their audio was a little bit low. So I just wanted to make sure that can get.
I will put my.
Is that better for people? Okay, better. That's way better. They say.
Way better, much better. Okay, perfect. Okay, I got it. Okay, this is awesome. Okay. The lighting setup is better. It is good. The lighting setup. Everything is better. The colors. You want to change the colors of my lights, whatever. Okay. So let's start with the references here. Okay, for reference I use PureRef, which is a free soft. It is super cool, and I highly recommend this software because it's a kind of board in which you can put all your references, and you can play with them. You can, scale it up, down. You can mirror it. You can do whatever you want. Basically, you can arrange on this canvas as your preference. So it's pretty cool. And And here I have this guy that probably you know who it is. This is Jean-Claude Van Damme, and the reason I took him as I don't know, my model tonight, it is I don't know why exactly came just to my mind, because I remember one of his signature kicks. It was the spinning kick. Every single movie he did this kick in every single one. And one of the cool things about that time at the 90s, which I'm revealing my age, I'm not too old, I'm only 36. I think this in this movie, I think this was Bloodsport. I think it was in the US. I think it was Bloodsport, right? Yeah, Bloodsport. Perfect. So,
yeah, well, all of his movies are relatively the same. It's either Lionheart or Bloodsport.
Yeah, it was basically all the same plot.
Yeah, that's Bloodsport.
Yeah, the one it was to show this kick in every single movie. So that's why it was so cool to put it in practice and try to make it here. And one cool thing that I would like to talk about, it is the importance, like as I mentioned before, of getting good references. And when we're talking about good references, it's not just the quality of the image, because you can see here it's not too high. Actually, I took it from a video, and one of the cool things about to do this, to follow these steps, it is that you can have a better view of what you're doing, or the pose you're trying to do, right? So let's talk about a little bit of this here. Okay, is it working? Yeah, it is working. So let's say that I'm looking in the internet for a kind of kick, that I have to do a kick or whatever, but let's talk about the kick, and I only find like one or two images, right? So if I find this image and I analyze this in order to understand what's going on, the first thing I understand is this guy, it is having his torso leaning back, right? This is the center. And my drawings are awful, so I'm sorry, but I will do my best with my drawing. That's what I'm a sculptor and I'm not a drawing artist. And okay, going back, it is one of the main key. It is his body, it is leaning back, right? So from the other views, I can see his body is not only leaning back, it is leaning to his side, right? So here. But if I only have one picture, I will never realize this, and my sculptor will look something like, oh, let me turn off. Something like this, right? Instead of this. So the importance of having multiple views, even if we don't have, of course, we not always will have a movie in which could be take that from the movie, those frames, right? But if you can have the chance to, I don't know, look for sports, look for whatever you have, video information you have, will be better, because you have sometimes multiple views. And back at those days, I remember they have a resource. It was like a filming the same action with different cameras, and they put it like in replay, so they cause a kind of effect of replaying the same. And I don't think this is using anymore. So this is bad for us, because we will not have any chance to get the same movement from different views, right? So one of the other things that I would like to talk about, it is the type of the pose. That in this case, what I did is something that we call the in-between movement, right? So if we say if a client, or even as we want to do a kick or a movement, let's always talk about a kick, right? So we will refer exactly to this. The most obvious choice will be this moment, right? It is kicking just in the moment he is kicking into the face of the opponent. But we have two more options. One, it is the beginning, right? in which of course is not helping because it's kind of weird pose. And the other pose, the other option, like I mentioned before, it is the end of the movement, which is the exactly moment in what it hits. But the other option, it is the in between. This is the most, let's say, the difficult one to get, because it's happening in the middle. But if you can catch that, if you can get that exactly the same moment, you can have a better, or better say, non-common version of that action, right? So you can see I have another reference here, which is pretty cool because it shows the entire motion of the kick. And one of the things I try to do, it is try to mimic exactly this instance. Not exactly, but I mean the essence of the kick, of the essence of the motion. So you will be able to play in this time, or in this case, only with his body to get that action, to get that feeling. So of course it will depend a lot from which point of view you are taking or you are rendering. But let's say this is a sculpture that you will print, and you will be able to take a look from 360 degrees, right? So in order to get that, you have to play with everything, every part of the body. Let's talk about, for example, the foot, the rotation of the knee, your hands, your head, everything. But we're going to talk about that in a minute. Let's go back again to the reference board. Okay, another thing it is important to understand, it is the lines. Let's go back again to this. So one of the most important things we should take into account, it is the lines. For example, if we're kicking or if we're putting the body in place, and let's say we have a kick like this, and if the body it is more straight and the legs are more like this, we're going to parallel to the ground. That, I think it's killing our dynamism in the piece. So always pay attention and go for, diagonal lines and creating angles in every place you can. So like in this case, for example, we can put a line here, but never make it super, even if in this pig is looking like a parallel, that I'm sure it is. Never try to avoid that, because it will cause that effect, like it is 3D for people. It's like it's not well done. So always look for these things, for this. Another thing I would like to talk about, to the reference before the jump on the guy we have in ZBrush, it is all the information you have and sometimes you miss. And I'm talking about lighting and shadows. We have a lot of information that usually in the images we have. And for example, let's talk about this guy here. Can you hear me well, guys? It's better?
Yeah, your audio for me has been fine, but we'll double check to make sure.
Okay.
While we're waiting for him to chime in, 2 questions came through that one was, how do you avoid taking images from a movie and having the blurry slides? How does your mind just kind of not look at that blurry portion? Are you chopping it up so you're not pulling blurry images? And number 2, do you have any other really good references for anatomy in motion? I gave them Scott Eaton's site that he put together.
Okay.
Well.
Okay. I think from the video, it is almost impossible. If the video has a lot of motion blur, like this or like this, it is impossible to not, to not avoid this. So in my case, what I did, it was I took it from YouTube, and YouTube has a cool option. It is, you can turn down the speed. So if you put like a 0.25, you can turn down the speed, and you can pick your frames with more efficiency. So you will be able to not pick the wrong frame. I don't know if that answered your question, but that's what I did. And what was the other question, Paul?
Is there any references that you have besides just pulling from a movie with bodies in motion for
bodies
sculpting?
in motion? I think Scott Eden, he has a great, actually it's called Bodies in Motion, a website that you can get a lot of high quality images from the people who's doing acrobatics and martial arts, dancing, whatever. That's a great resource. You can have a subscription. I think you can have you can apply for a monthly or a year subscription. You can get all the images and all these kind of animation styles, and it is pretty cool. I think it's the only website that right now it comes to my mind. But
yeah, I've shared that in the chat for those that also would like to have a link to it.
Bodies in Motion, it's awesome. It's awesome.
Okay, thank you.
But it's okay. So we were saying that all the information we have in only one image, right? So we have a lot of information when we have shadows like this. Of course, this guy is super lean and muscular, not bulky, but yes, it has a lot of definition in his body. But for example, things like this is awesome to see, because that's information that sometimes we don't get from other images, or something like this. And sometimes we just take a look and say, okay, this is not work. I don't have anything here, or it's not good quality. And not every time we have to go look for good quality images. Sometimes you can get the best reference from low quality images. Sometimes you don't have a other option, right? And sometimes you have to see beyond the cloth or the fabrics in this case. For example, this guy, it is a perfect example of how your rib cage is. Oh, my drawings. Oh Lord, doing my best. Okay. For example, the rib cage here. Take a look how it breaks this point, and how the distance between this point and this point, and it doesn't have his torso naked, and you can see it, and it's pretty cool. And you can take reference from a picture like this. So it doesn't matter exactly. I mean, you don't have to always have reference like this, which is awesome, right? Or like this. You can take reference from every single thing. You only have to look as best as you can. I have messages from people asking me, for example, for hands references, and what I do is put hands in Google and copy the link and send the link. And I'm not saying, sometimes we are lazy, and sometimes we do use the creativity. And I will say, like, you have, in the case of your hands, you have your own hands that you can take a reference from. If you put a light and you take a photo, I think that could be the best reference. In my personal case, I love hands, to sculpt hands and feet, and my hands works pretty well, but my feet not. I don't know why. I had a little bit fluffy. I think you say fluffy. It doesn't have this like a bony structure. It has a bony structure, of course, but I mean not the one I'm looking for. So that's the only case that I'm looking for references on the internet. Or I don't know, maybe my brother say, could you take a photo of your feet or whatever. I'm just saying, use your creativity when you're looking for references. And I use a lot of references. I take a lot of reference from Pinterest, and from ballet dancers. They have a great body, and they put, they use his body in a way that they can. So that's let's say if you have to, I don't know, sculpt a Spider-Man, that's the best reference ever you can get. These guys are awesome, and you can have a lot of information from here. So keep that in mind. And the last part is, okay, always have anatomy references as well. Through all these years, one of the most important things I've learned, it is more I learn anatomy, more references I use. Even if I can sculpt like from memory a body in a pose, that's a little bit let's say dangerous, because you could copy yourself if you don't use references. So that in mind, always have references of anatomy. I'm saying references too much, right? I'm sorry. Okay. I'm using. I can't avoid saying references all the time because we're talking about that. So keep this in mind, that using for proportions and your skeleton, and from the face, and from I don't know. Anatomy, of course, musculature, bony landmarks, and a lot of more. So keep that in mind. Always have this. In Pure Ref, you can save your board, and when you open the board again, all the images will be there, will appear in the same position you left. And that's cool, because you can have, for example, that you are working in a different project, which is not exactly the same but you can always have something apart. So this will be your references, anatomy part, whatever, right? So I highly recommend to always have this in your board. Okay, so now we're going to jump on this fellow, and let me first go to the beginning. This was the beginning, and I always use mannequins because it gives me a lot of freedom to not put attention in anything in particular. And let's say that I'm using a base mesh, and I have something in my base mesh that caught my attention, that will be that keep me busy, and I don't want that, honestly. I just want to put attention only on the forms that I can get, and the poses that I can get, right? So from this I try to put it like in the same pose that I was looking for, which was this here, something like this. You don't have to copy exactly. You only to have the essence of the pose should be there, and understand that you can adjust it in every moment, right? So, but the most important is to get it, and you can play it. This is cool because we're going to do this in a minute, but for those who never used it before, it's super easy. You can get any posture or pose you want. You can play. After you have this pose, when you have this pose, I collapse it and I make it so you can apply Dynamesh and all the features have available for Polymesh, right? And in this case, what I did, it was separated with polygroups the arms, body, and legs. I think then I separated again, like a left leg, right leg, so you can super quick have an access to the legs or whatever part you separated, right? Okay. I think people is having some troubles with the audio.
No, I think you just at the moment. I think your stream was kicked up just even the video.
Okay.
You're fine now.
We're fine now. Okay.
Yeah. The internet so unreliable.
Oh yeah, man. That's.
You're good. You're good now. Your audio's good.
Okay, perfect. We're back.
And your video's good.
Okay, perfect. So we're going back, and I was saying that I usually separate the parts so I can work more easily and more in efficient way. Then what I usually do the first I do is put the head just super rough. You only need the head to understand the proportions of the body, so you can play with that. It is our Canon. This guy, it is a 7.5 Canon proportion. So the next thing I do, it is putting some volumes here and there, and this is one of the most important things that the entire sculpture. The initial stage, it is most important, at least to me, right? Everything I will say here, it is from my point of view, and why I'm saying this, because here is where you take all the important decisions. All the texture work, all the detail works, that's something that you will apply later. Don't worry about it. It's just a matter of time. But if your base mesh, if the base you're creating, it is not good, all the things you can put, all the assets, all decorations you can put on it will be a waste of time, right? So try to create good forms, shapes, volumes, silhouette. That's the most important part of, in my opinion, the key of the figure, of the statue. So basically I was putting volume here and there, and trying to, with the steps, putting the volumes what I thought it was. Okay, then this is important. Then when I have some volume, now that I can see the body, what I did was play with the pose. So I break the pose and try to looking for a different one, not a different one, just a more dynamic one, right? So as you can see, guys, what I did, it was just to play with the head and move the head a little bit forward, like I put the neck forward, and I create more curvature to the torso. I lean it back a little bit more. I play with his legs, and I'm playing. And another important thing, it is to always keep your polygon low. You don't have to. You don't have to a lot of polygons everywhere. That will just complicate the workflow you have, will make everything slower. If you want to smooth it out, everything is super easy, and if you have a lot of polygons, it will be a little bit hard. So don't worry about putting a lot of details now, right? So now it is a moment to play with volumes and shapes and forms, and that's the most important thing again. I keep, as you can see, I keep playing, in this case, with the limbs, with legs, because what I saw, it is that it was blocking torso too much, and from certain views it was looking weird, and exactly the same like this leg here. So I saw it was if we had this full extended from certain views, it looks a little bit weird. So what I did was just relax this leg a little bit more. Okay, so if we keep going up, I started playing with anatomy. Once everything was in place, I start playing with anatomy. That's the moment when the anatomy enters. I put some underwear. Want to make it naked, poor guy. basically I just add volumes and I was fixing. It's like I don't put like when I work, I don't put time like only here and I finalize or end the arm, then I move to the other arm. I'm just going here and there, like a jumping around, right? I'm just always trying to see the general forms, the whole thing, instead of the general thing. Then when the general is okay, I'm going to the particular places and add and refine and refine and refine. And I also, what I did was put some wrinkles, spots here, and here I play a little bit with the skin tissue, so it gives me the feeling of his pressing his body. But then I put a face. I work a little bit on the face. And here, what I usually do, it is I take his head out and I put symmetry. I work on symmetry, like something like a base shape. I'm looking for forms, like I told you before, guys. I'm not pretending to get something super clear or complicated with too many polygons. Again, it just forms. It is most important. Just keep that in mind, please. The most important. Okay, then I think I jump and I did expression. I started playing with expressions, and I think I block the hand. You know, I have some volume here. And then I put a little bit more detail. Then I refine the entire arm, right? It was these some decisions are decisions you have to take. Like if you're going to have a regular arm, more, let's say, less. How's the word? Forgot the word. Lean or define. That's the word I was looking for. Define. In this case, I say, okay, fuck it. Let's define this guy. Then I play with proportions. As you can see, the arm was a little bit short. And the way I do this, it is I measure. I use transpose tool. You have many ways to do it. Sometimes I use a skeleton, like as another subtool. I put it inside, and I try to get all the proportion from the skeleton. Not for anatomy, only for proportions. So if you bend an arm or a leg, whatever, you will see the patella there, and you will put your leg place, right? So, but in this case, I just using the head. So what I did is basically just measure the head. Something like this is 2.25, something close, maybe less, maybe more, just a little bit more. Yeah, it seems 25, and I measured. Be sure it was the same length. This is the case in where you have to apply your knowledge on proportions, right? And that's why I was telling you that's so important to have references like this, for example, in which you can see clearly some quick references of your proportions, and you can check it. Yeah, so everything was in place. I did some fixes in the leg also. Then I put veins, just a layer of veins. And as you can see, it's low res. It is the same resolution that I have from the beginning. So, at this point, I never pay attention to details, to small details. I don't care, honestly. That will come with the time. Eventually, I will have to, to make the hands look like hands, the nails, the fingernails, or whatever. So this moment only, I'm looking. It is for, forms. That's the most important thing. I've seen great models, great sculptures with a lot of details everywhere, with a lot of texture work. Amazing, that's fine. But at the same time, I've seen models with the same amount of work with texturing work and detailed work, but the base was not good and the final result wasn't good. So because the base wasn't good. When I'm talking about the base, I'm talking about the forms, the forms of the body. And we have a body, entire body here. I only have it's less than 1 million of polygons. It's 700,000, yeah, something like that. But as you can see, I only look for volumes and shapes and form. I'm refining undefined result. I put some polypaint. You can see the eyes. It just sculpt, right? Are not the a separate sphere or whatever. I'm not looking for that right now. I'm just playing with the body and not putting attention to fingernails or whatever. It is just, if it is okay, for example. Paul, are you there? For I did the same, right? You can see here just volumes, and if you take a look from distance, looks it doesn't look pretty. Doesn't look bad, and even this hand, it is not fully sculpted. It is fully finished. I think you can get the feeling of what he's doing. Expression. I think to me that's the most important thing, is expression. But when I'm talking about expression, I'm not talking about the face. I'm talking about the gesture, the body gesture. And now that we have this guy here, let's deconstruct him just a little bit more. Let's grab this guy. View.
So Daniel, a couple questions for you.
Yeah.
So number one, are you mostly always working in asymmetry mode? How long do you stay in symmetry mode when you're working on your models?
Almost every time. If what I'm doing, it is suit. Let's say I'm doing a Wolverine, right? So what I do, it is basically go as far as I can in symmetry, because I'm designing the suit. But as soon as I can, I just break it and put in pose, because if you go too far, that will be, that will broke. If you move your, let's say, your arm up or your leg, whatever, it will broke. So don't waste time. And I know it's more time consuming to work without symmetry, but at the same time, I think it's the best way to get good results, or more natural results. And you will not be fighting to avoid your meshes, breaks, whatever, or get destroyed.
And currently you're in Dynamesh mode, correct?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, all Dynamesh.
When do you break out of Dynamesh mode and go into multiple subdivisions? Do you do that?
Yeah, When I have to put details, like let's say pores or skin details, what I do, it is add a subdivision. Sometimes I do this. I just go to geometry, and if this is my model, I just press Ctrl D, I put one more, and try. And if this is not enough, I put another more. And if it's too heavy, if the file is getting too heavy to control, yeah, what I will do is basically a remesh and do all the the projection and like that. But I don't care about follow a kind of a process, a technical process. I will say, like, if Dynamesh it's giving me the result that I want, I will leave it with Dynamesh. Honestly, I don't care much about putting always make a zero measure and have a body with subdivisions. Question?
Yeah, and then another question coming through is, how do you know where to focus on your model when you're working on these pieces?
Can you repeat it again, please?
Yeah, so the question coming through is, how do you know where to focus on your model? So obviously you've got a model with a lot of anatomy going in, so not getting stuck in one location. Where do you know to start your sculpting focus and then working out?
I think like I showed you before, it is randomly. I think I started from the head, and then I go and jump off, here and there. I'm just adding volumes and refining. That's what I do. That's the process I do. I'm not stuck in any particular. I mean, I try to, for example, if this is the level of detail, I try to put the same level of detail in the entire body. When it's done, I move to another stage in which I put more detail, better say, refinement, right? More refined. But I will never work 2 hours or 1 hour in a leg, and then jump another thing, because if I have to, I don't know, change the pose because I didn't like it, or have to make a Dynamesh that I will do it multiple times during I'm sculpting, you will lose all those details you put it there. So just jump depending of which level of details you are doing.
Great. Yep, that answered the question. Thank you.
So going back to this guy and talking about the pose and the dynamism, let's put it from the bottom. One of the things you can play. Let's talk about this particular pose, because when I said, okay, I will do, instead of this, I will try to make this one. And I asked myself, okay, how I can achieve the feeling of movement on his leg without being in motion, because it's a static sculpture, right? So I play with the rotation of the leg and the rotation of the ankle and the rotation of the fingers, like I'm trying to prepare like a whiplash, right? Like something like that, right? So this is one of the things I took into consideration. And another thing it was to make a curve, right? And if you take a close look, you can have a curve like this, and if you put it in another view, there's more curves that help visualize the movement, right? It is not a static, it is not in the same line, it's breaking all the time the lines. So that's something you have to take into account always to make or achieve movement or motion, even in the arms, or if you take a look here, his hand, it is not a strike, it is making a motion like this. That's something that always help. Okay, let me. What about timing, Paul? What time? How much time do we?
You're fine. You still got like an hour.
Awesome. Perfect. Do you have any questions about this before to jump in the other stage?
I had a question just come through, but I think you might get to this a little bit later. When do you start adding details such as clothing, accessories? How do you handle that? Do you work on accessories after you have built up the anatomy and have it posed, or work asymmetrically with that as well?
Well, in this case, what I did was make the this underwear from I think I have. Yeah, I did extraction, and of course I have to make it in pose. Otherwise, it is. Let's say you have this character in T pose, and then you need to do this pose, right? To transfer, right? And you will have a huge problem because all your leg and waist, it will broke for sure. And if you have any assets there, it will happen the same with those assets. So I would say just make it as sketchy, or better say as rough as you can. So you don't need to you don't need to take care every time to be I'm trying to find the word because it will what I'm trying to say it will get broke. So don't worry about it. Just keep it loose, keep it low poly count, and if you want to put details, just to try to put it on pose, then in the T pose. Don't be worried. That was the word I was looking for. Otherwise, when you put it something, for example, like this, and you can still play with it. And of course, it takes more time. Of course, it is more time consuming. But I can assure you that it is the final result. It is a way better than if you try to just start from the T pose and try to make a pose and without anything breaks. But this it worked for me. So questions?
When do you start adding poly paint for yourself in your process?
Early beginning. Actually, in the case of like a naked body like this, we don't have, or you don't have poly paint. But if you're working in designing a suit or anything, I try to put, to help me with the colors, because you will be able to see the final look it would have, and it will help you to put more details or less details in different places if you work with the color, with the poly paint, right? In this particular case, what I did was like when I think it was I just put color at the end because I wanted to display with colors, but in this case it doesn't help to the construction of the anatomy. But when you are designing, I think it's really, really helpful.
What does it take for total time for you to finish one of these sculpts, do you think, when you're doing something like this with the anatomy and movement in it? How much time do you give yourself?
Always depends on the sculpture, but let's say, for example, if we talk about this guy, I spent the whole weekend, like 15 hours on this, and it takes a lot of more time to put more all the details here and there, refine everything. So it could take you like a week or more. like I told you before, I work a lot with the hands and put a lot of time with the hands. Sometimes I spend like 2 days with the hand because I wanted to make it, make it look cool, natural. I don't care about putting time. That's something that I would like to suggest to everyone who's hearing is don't pay attention to, of course, if you have the time to do it, sculpting is not a race, it is a marathon. So just, try to find your time and enjoy the process, because this part of the process is the one that I most enjoy, because I'm kind of creating or looking for forms, even if a human anatomy, and you can say, yeah, that's not much creativity on that. But yes, it is, because you have to, in this case, I'm not copying any particular body in the same pose. I'm taking reference from everywhere and trying to put right there. And sometimes you will not have that reference, a particular reference, and you will need to use your knowledge of, in this case, of anatomy, and try to make it as best as possible. So that takes time. And if I, for example, let's say that I want to end this guy, to finalize this guy, maybe it could take 2-3 days more. Maybe after those 3 days I saw, these fingers, these toes, I don't like it, and I have to make it again. It will take a lot of more time, like another 3-4 more days. So I'd say it depends. In my daily job, I work for collectibles, and I spend like depending of the project, but approximately 2 months and a half, or 3 months, depending on the complexity of the piece. But that's a lot of time that it will give you the possibility to play with the character. To play, when I'm saying playing, it is, for example, today I'm seeing this and I say, it looks okay, looks cool. Tomorrow I would probably say, this hand, I don't like this finger, whatever. And more time you have, more time you will develop your eye on the character. So it will be better to make it, to elevate the quality. So of course you will have to finalize and one day, right, to end it. But as much as time as you can put, I think will be better. Questions, or do you want to jump on?
We'll take one more, and then you can go in your next segment.
Okay.
So how often do you have to do characters that are more than one in a scene? And when you do have to deal with more than one character in a scene, do you use mannequins also to block all that out?
Oh yeah.
For the poses?
Yeah, definitely. I think mannequins are great tools for looking for poses, and I've seen many people using base mesh with a how was the name? Z-rig? Oh, can't remember.
Z-sphere rig?
Yeah, Z-sphere rig, that could work too. Or maybe some guys who use Maya or 3ds Max using bipeds to get these quick results in terms of getting like figurines, and then collapse and work on them. Yeah, I think I use mannequins because it's super easy to work. We're going to see some of the process using mannequins. Advantages.
Okay, we'll let you get into your next segment, and then I'll continue asking questions.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's start with this guy here, which is basic mannequin. So we're going to again go back to this guy here, to our Jean-Claude Van Damme, and try to put the pose, right? And first thing is play with your perfect. Play with your torso. Just try to put in pose. course, you have the reference. I will move my reference board to the other monitor, so working. And one of the cool things working with this, it is, even it doesn't look like a human being, right? It has because it's created with spheres and cylinders. It is that you have the proportions there, so you don't have to. Even when I collapse this, I trust on this. I mark these points and I trust on them because it looks pretty cool, pretty okay. I'm saying in terms of proportions. So but this is basically, I'm using the rotation of rotation, and you can rotate, play with it. It's super easy, as you can see. Pose. Oh.
Daniel, your audio's cutting in and out a little bit.
Okay.
If you want to take a look real quick, maybe. Hold on, he's checking to make sure his audio is up and running good.
Hear me well now?
Yeah, I can hear you well. We'll make sure they can hear you well. Go ahead and continue talking, and then that way we'll check and make sure your audio is fine.
So, in order to keep advancing with this, let's grab the other one, because what I wanted to show is how it works. It is super easy. Rotation tool, just place whatever you wanted to rotate and move the limbs, and that's it. So we're going to have this guy here, which is more close to the one I had. Actually is the one I had. So we're going to collapse this guy, and you can do this. Going to adaptive skin, make adaptive skin, right? So what you will have, it is something like this, but with multiple colors everywhere. So that's where I'm just polygroups in order to get different separation with the limbs of the limbs. Perfect. So the next step, it is add a head. Quick, we're going to work quick. Fading out. I think maybe it's because I'm moving too much and my mic. I will add some. As you can see, I will use a low intensity, so I can. I'm not looking for anything again super fancy.
Yeah, your audio's out again. It's breaking. Daniel, can you hear me? Your audio's gone.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
completely gone, or
Now you're back.
I don't know what's happening, man.
I don't know.
This you can see the viewport. Sorry guys, this is why only the Latin American.
Let's try this, Daniel. Let's restart our call and see maybe if that'll clear it up for us again. So let me end this one and call you back in. Hold on, guys. We're gonna see if we can fix the audio real quick. Okay, so let me just hang up and I'll call you back. Okay.
Okay, cool.
Okay, you're in?
Yeah, I'm in.
Okay, let's try this one. See if this clears up the audio for us.
Okay, perfect.
Right now, you sound good to me.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm only using just a few brushes. I'm using these brushes I use a lot of clay tooth constant, move brush, dam standard, and that's it basically. Sometimes in flat, but that. So here is just trying to find a face, more than a face, just a head. So what you can. Brush. And this is something interesting or important to me because maybe this way to create things could be slow and sometimes a little bit frustrating, but at the same time it is super helpful to your eye, developing your eye and your knowledge in terms of anatomy, and looking for volumes and whatever, because it's putting in practice your senses every time you sculpt and you create from scratch. I think it's pretty cool. It doesn't you don't have to okay, I think I know what's going on with the. Okay, I think you will find. Can you hear me better right now? Because I just saw a message saying that I have a filter, a cancellation filter in OBS. I turn it off. So let me know if you.
Yeah, I'm hearing you fine right now.
Okay.
So yeah, try turning that off and see.
Yeah, I turn it off. Okay, so polish. I'm just putting some planes here, and that's it. I think for the face, it's okay. It's good. I would turn off some of the lights I have, so I don't need it. Okay, perfect. Right there. Now I add some volume here and there. And when I'm adding volume like this, I just put in my UI. I have a UI, personal UI. I will share a link if you want to download my UI later. So I will turn on a bake face auto mask. So when I play with the volumes, I'm not putting from one side and making holes from the other side. So I'm going to crank up the intensity a bit more, and I'm looking for, and this is pretty loose, super loose. I mean, super fast in terms of you don't have to. It is like adding volumes everywhere. Not everywhere. I mean, just in the places we need it. It's like putting mass.
So this is your favorite brush for when you're blocking out in this stage. This is you're switching between inflate and clay buildup a lot, or clay tubes.
Clay tube constant, the new one. I don't know why.
Clay tube constant.
Yeah, it has a little bit of more. It is a little bit smoother, I think. I don't know exactly what it has, but I like it. I prefer more than the regular one. I don't know why.
And you usually have when you're sculpting, have your references on the other monitor like you are right now. That is your preferred workflow for yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. At this moment, I'm not looking at references, because I'm just putting volumes and looking for that. My eyes gives me the feeling of proper volumes. Just trying to see it, and then when I will start with the refining and being more picky with the anatomy. Yes, I will look more for the references, of course. But now it is more
so
like
at this
playing.
time, because you've done so many sculpts, you can pretty much visually see where you need to put proper volume on a model.
Yeah. That's why I was saying like practice like this way. It will help you a lot to develop your eye and develop your knowledge of where exactly you have to put more volume or the erase volume. That's something, and at the same time it's super fun. At least to me, I enjoy this process a lot. Actually, is the most fun part of every project, when you're just playing with your statue or whatever you have, your character, because it's like honestly it's like being playing with the forms and shapes, like like when we were child and or kids, and we play with the how do you call it, mass? It's not mass, it is
Play-Doh.
Play-Doh, things like that, and I think it's pretty cool. It reminds me.
What do you, as an artist, that you're obviously making something that's going to be physically made as a collectible person? What do you put your perspective camera focal length set to? What do you keep it at?
I use it in 28, 26, between 26 and 30. That's the focal length I use. Yeah. So this is, go on. So let's talk about
what Dynamesh resolution are you at right now for this model? They're asking that. It's tough to probably read the screen.
200. It is.
256, right? You're at 256.
256. Yeah. It doesn't matter exactly. It is the minimum as possible, I would say, because I'm looking for work efficiently. If you have many polygons, it will complicate a little bit, the way you are smoothing or putting more volumes everywhere. Now I'm increasing the size of the head.
It almost looks like we're watching a recording of you sculpt, but you're sculpting real time. And for those that were asking again, the brush that he was using for blocking out again was the Clay Tubes Constant, which ships with ZBrush. We added that, man, I don't even know now, 6 versions ago, I want to say.
Really?
What version?
No, I think it was.
I think so.
I thought it was the 2019. But the
no, it's older. No, it's older than that.
Older than that? Okay, perfect.
It was created, at least in my phone, I would say about 4 years ago. So that was about 4 versions ago.
Okay, perfect.
It might have been 4 or 8, I think. Okay. I don't remember anymore.
Okay. What I do here, it is now that I have the volumes, and I will not add volume in legs because I will do it later. But let's put more focus on the chest. I will hide the legs for just a moment, and I will start putting the bony landmarks or some other lines like the line of the center of the body, line of the back, the crests, the iliac crests. I can't remember in English how it's called, but I think it was iliac crests or your waist. Hips, right? Your hips, bones.
Yeah.
Bones.
The great trochanter and the iliac crest. Yeah, you're good.
Iliac crest.
That's
okay,
right.
Good. So, and the a little bit of the rib cage, right? And then, for example, I can see I need more volume here. So what I do is okay. Well, let's put some volume here, and don't even think in anatomy. Just right now it is just forms, right? So it's putting time and focus on that. And when I have this like let's say good enough, I would put some time in anatomy. Right now it is just playing with the volumes, like I mentioned before. The move brush is very important.
So right now you're still going all off memory of just sculpting right now, figuring out your proportions.
What's that? I'm sorry. Again?
So you're just now still going all off memory, or are you still now are you starting to look a lot at your reference images?
No.
More?
I just is memory because this part is. I mean, I've been doing this since a lot, so it's like some things is really got stuck on my memory, and those are the things I most love to do. Like I told you before, this part of the process is really enjoyable to me, and that's why maybe it looks like I want to say easier, but I think when you like something or would really enjoy and love, I think it's more easy to get with the time in practice. Of course, that's what I'm saying. This way to practice is a little bit way better more than just sculpting from with symmetry, at least at the beginning. Again, I understand it's more time consuming, but if you're sculpting pose, and you will get a way better results than just if you do it from the T pose and then try to make a pose. So let's grab a portion, for example, here, and let's refine a little bit more. I'm looking for bony landmarks like the chromium or chromius. How do you call it? Chromius in English?
When you're working with your clients, do they give you a pose that they want, or from like a concept artist, or do you pretty much get to pick the pose?
It depends. I would say nowadays on the sideshow, it's always a teamwork, right? But sometimes I can, if I have time and nobody, let's say the project I have to work, nobody already did anything like a concept or whatever, I can do it myself in 3D, of course, because I don't draw. So they will let me to play with everything. Basically, it gives me a lot of freedom. In my case, at Sideshow, we have a lot of freedom to create. That's something that I love to work at Sideshow, and then you have amazing artists that would help you in the creative process. But if you have time, and if they trust in you, because that's something you have to earn, the trust, right? So if they trust you in your, I would say, in your eye, on the way you see these things, they will give you more opportunities to have more freedom and start from scratch and do your own things and put your own vision on these characters.
So I know a couple of people have been asking a while ago about your hard surface stuff, your boots and your gloves, and all your other hard surface work. What features inside of ZBrush are you using to do your hard surface things like that?
Panel loops and poly groups. No, it's not poly groups. It's group loops and panel loops a lot. I think are amazing features. I try to use more C model, but I usually use C model for retopology by hand. Sometimes ZBrush it's amazing, but when you have to be more picky or more precise with the forms that you're looking for, you have to use ZBrush. So ZBrush, sometimes I use that for those things too. What I do basically, it is sculpt exactly the same as I'm doing right now, but with a, I don't know, let's talk about a wood or a glove. I'm looking for the forms. I try to polish as much as I can, and then I do remeshing by hand. Because otherwise, if you want to use ZRemesher, you have to have everything separated by polygroups. I mean, you can do it, but the results of doing it by hand will be always a little bit better. Yep.
Someone just challenged themselves, said they're going to try doing this with just a mouse.
With the mouse?
Sculpting with boxing gloves is what I like to call it. You're using a tablet or a Cintiq?
A tablet. Yeah, I have a Cintiq, but I can't use it. I don't know why. I think I got used to too much to use a tablet for a certain amount of years, and that I find myself when I'm using Cintiq, I found myself like slow, and I think it's the way you start sculpting or using these things. At SciShow, sometimes when I go to the office to work there, everyone is using Cintiqs, and I have to use it. I mean, I'm not forced to use it, but I have to, because sometimes it's the only thing available there, and I feel like I'm starting from zero, because it's it's different the way you're blocking your view with your hand, which is something you have to get used to, and that's nothing to I mean, you can deal with that with the time, but there are a few things about Cintiq that I love, and there are a few things I don't like, and but again, it is all about what things you get used to first, I think.
Yeah, I was waiting for someone to chime in, but someone already did. Will Higgins is like, if you're not using a Cintiq, can I have it?
my wife is using it, so you lose your chance.
Oh, there you go. Will, you're out of luck.
Yeah. Okay.
So you go this process through your entire model, right? Like, as you said, you make sure you hit all parts of the anatomy, all down the legs, before you move on to another phase.
Yeah, definitely. When I have this done, I mean, I'm not working right now with legs because I want to push. I want to put more time on this, so you can see how much do we have? More time?
You got about 30 minutes total left.
Okay, perfect. So that's why I will say that in this part of the stage, I will apply the same amount of details here in order to, keep moving. I'm not doing that right now because I'm putting more time, so we can have a better quality of the torso right now. But yes, I'm going. I'm jumping here and there every time. So, yeah. Of course, I'm doing this from memory, but I don't recommend. This is just because of presentation, and I'm not pretending to make it this super accurate. I'm just getting forms and stuff like that, but I always recommend to use your references, studies as much as you can, and do something important, which is before you go and start sculpting, just pay attention to them, study them. And when I'm saying studying, it is just try to, for example, let's say that I'm working on my stuff for my daily job on superheroes or villains, and I have to do, I don't know, let's say again a Wolverine. I have to, even if I know things about him, I will have to be more careful and put more attention on the way he stands, the way he walks, the way he does. I mean, his everything is the color of his eyes, his hair, his proportions, and the only way you can do that is paying attention to proportions, to your references, studying them. Not only the looking for information is always useful when you're working in a particular character that exists, like a comic character, right? So I would recommend to put attention as much as you can on references and information, what we call pre-production, which is super important.
So it's tough to see how many brushes you have in the bottom left corner because your title's blocking them.
Yeah.
I'm assuming those are the main brushes you use. What brushes do you have down in that bottom left corner? You could turn your title off in OBS if you know where to turn that off, but if not, you can just tell them.
Turn off. They are 8. Claritude, Move, Topological, Down Standard, Trim Dynamic, Standard, Move, Inflat, Morph. That's the ones more I use. Sometimes I use H polish as well, but I don't use much more. I mean, depending of sometimes you have to experiment a little bit, but depending of what things you want to achieve, and that's different. But in the daily work, I use just those.
Great, thank you.
No, welcome. And I know this could this particular workflow that I'm showing could sound like or could be, I don't know, maybe prehistoric or whatever you want to call it, but it's super helpful to get in in shape, to put your anatomy proportions knowledge in practice. That's super helpful. And again, I highly recommend this workflow if you're trying to put in practice these proportions, these knowledges.
You can put your title back on too if you want, so people know who you are. Just for those people join.
Perfect. Let me finish this arm a little bit more.
Do we have a question about portfolios? What do you like to see in portfolios?
Good forms, good shapes. I mean, I love Steve Lord's job, Geo Napkill, and guys like that, because they putting more attention on these things that I was telling you, like the forms and shapes and volumes, than the small details. I mean, they can do it, of course they can. With the time, I think we all can learn how to do cool details and stuff like that, and even more nowadays that we can count with YouTube or many tutorials everywhere. Basically, you can do whatever you want, but something is super hard to develop. It is the eye, and to see the forms and the silhouette and these things, and that's what I most enjoy when I'm seeing portfolios in which has these things. The main key it is forms, volumes, simple things, but very well done.
And here's another one question coming through. Generally for production, do you just work in a normal T-pose model, or do you do pretty much what you're showing today?
That's pretty much what I'm showing today. It is if I have time, let's say I have to pitch some ideas quickly, like in one day, I will probably, instead of using this workflow, I will use a model that I have, super rough, super sketchy, and low, but to avoid start from start, that will give me some speed. But that's all. Then when I have to start from scratch, the character I will use the same workflow. Not only because I enjoy it a lot, it is because it forced me to not copy myself. What I'm trying to say with this, it is sometimes if you have let's say you have a nice model, a nice body, you sculpt it, and it's well defined or not, or whatever. It's something nice. You can use it for start your sculptures. If the anatomy of the proportions are there, you will probably use always the same things, and it will be difficult to disattach to that. You know what I mean? It is like you will be always using maybe the same kind of abs, the same type of arms, or even if it's bigger, bulkier, or thinner, whatever. I mean, I'm talking about the forms that you are using are the same. So starting from scratch, I mean, I can make this I don't know, this guy 3-4 times, and it will be always different. It will never be the same. Never, because I can't make it the same, exactly the same. Even more if I'm not looking any particular references. So that's something that I really appreciate when I see people. Not because that's the same as I'm doing. It is because they're putting attention on these things that I find really, really important. Really important.
Have you ever read any of Bern Hogarth's anatomy book?
Ben?
Is it supposed to be Ben? Well, it says Bern Hogarth. Maybe it's Ben. It's just typed out.
Oh, I don't know, honestly. I have many
I'm
books.
not familiar with the book.
Yeah, I'm not familiar neither. I have many books, like great books I have are from Sarah Simblet. I have the anatomy for. Oh, I have it there, but I can't remember the names of the books. But Elliot Goldfinger, Sarah Simblet, Bridgman's, of course Loomis, and there's a lot. Anatomy for Sculptures, that's a very good one for a quick view. But if you want to understand, this is very cool. If you want to understand motion and movement, and I think the one I like the most, it is the one from Bridgman's, Drawing from Life. That book is awesome because it helps you to understand forms and shapes in a very simple way, but also rhythm and movement, which is so important to understand dynamism and to apply it then on your pieces. For example, there's a few things that you can learn from there, like let's talk about for a second about the shoulder. If we take a look to the shoulder, we can make a shoulder like this, right? Or, I mean, not so ugly, but something like this. Or try to understand that the form of the shoulder, it is going to the front, to the back, in like this shape. It has a kind of this shape. So it's not how do you call it? It is uniform. It is it has inclination. That's the word what I wanted to say. It's an inclination towards to the back, and as you can see, it's all about time. I mean, if you put time, and let's see the amount of polygons I have. It is very, very super low, but you can see the forms are appearing there, and that's something that I always look for. With less things you can do more, because you can play more with everything, and you don't need to be attached to lose any kind of details. Doesn't matter right now, because we are looking for this exactly, to get better shapes, to get better forms. And if you want to, let's say, you can use some advantages of the symmetry. For example, if you make one hand and you don't want to make the other hand, you can cut it, you can mirror it, and then project, and then maybe start from there and break the symmetry or break whatever you don't have to. I mean, I'm not trying to say, do everything without symmetry because it's better. I'm just saying it will lead you to a more natural feeling and natural work, and at the same time, it's a great way to practice. I love this because it's super fun, and you can learn many things on the fly.
So here's another question for you while you're working.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a good idea to build your character profile around your personal projects? For example, say a comic, or should you build your portfolio around the characters for the studio that you want to apply for? What have you found in your career?
I think it depends always the kind of industry you want to apply. I would say if you want to apply, I don't think it depends of the type of character. I think it depends of, for example, if you want to work for collectibles, just try to make a collectible, even if you're not going to sell that to a collectible company. I'm just saying, just show to the company that you know the workflow. You know how to make a keys for production later, or how to make a base, how to create a proper balance for a statue, how to understand about the scales, that the amount of the size and amount of details you're going to put, it is proper to the scale you are going to work. Or if you want to apply a video game industry, just try to make an in-game a character. So I think for the companies, or for those who are looking for artists to hire, it's better if you can show them that you can do what they are looking for. Even more nowadays, that's plenty of artists, great artists out there. So we have I will not say competition, but yes, we have a lot of people doing the same and asking for the same job. So you need to be very smart in order to get a job, and how you focus your portfolio. I will say it's always better, have a great one image, just only one, that 20 mediocre or worse, or terrible images. It doesn't matter. I mean, it is not about quantity, it is about quality. And if you can show that you have quality, I think people or companies really look for that. And always, other thing that maybe it's important, always do the best. I mean, do your best as you can for your portfolio. don't be attached to those old images you have, because I don't know, it was your first image, your first job, and you want to leave it there in your portfolio. Just put it the last thing that represents your actual quality. Because for those who are looking for people who work in a company, whatever, they don't have time to understand if that was something, with a lot of years ago or something new. It is just try to help them to see what's your best that you can do. And of course, if you aim of more, if you're more, let's say, specialize with the type of your work you're showing, it will be better for your capacity of looking for a job or getting a job.
Do you do the engineering at work, or do you hand that off to somebody else to do the engineering of your pieces?
Yeah, I have to do engineering. Yeah, that's something that maybe is the less creative part, because it's more mechanic. But it's I think it's the good part of knowing how to do engineering is that when you're working, you know exactly what things you have to design in order to hide the seams. So let's say you are working in a guy like this, and you're going to have a shoulder pad. And so if you create a shoulder pad, just try to make a line somewhere, because you're going to cut there, and you are going to try to hide that cut, that seam line. So that's something. It's not super fun to do, honestly, but it's really helpful to give you more perspective of the final piece, or the things you need to take into account.
And I know a lot of people are really enjoying this. So you also stream every Friday on your own channel as well.
Yeah.
So if you want to share that with them too, so
Of
people
course.
can even see you again for the second time.
Yeah, of course, and thank you for mentioning it. Every Friday I have a YouTube channel that I recently opened, or resume. Every Friday I'm doing live sculpting. I'm doing an anatomy guide, in which I'm putting every Friday. I'm like putting time in which part in specific, and it is in Spanish. But don't worry, because if you don't Spanish, you can turn the sound off and you can watch it anyway. But if you want to understand what I'm saying, after 20 hours the video is upload. YouTube activates the English subtitles, or whatever language you want to put subtitles. And my YouTube channel, if you put Daniel Bell in YouTube, it will lead you to my channel. So it will be awesome if you like. It is free content, free educational content. That it is not only live sculpting. I'm preparing some content about tips and tricks, advanced tricks. I'm going to talk about the books that I use for anatomy. I'm going to do interviews with great personalities of the industry, and have a lot of content to do. This is pretty good, honestly. It is a new kind of way to show people a lot of retribution for all these years of being so nice with me and supportive on my career. And I think that's the best way I found to make a retribution to everyone who helped me. Just sharing my stuff, liking my stuff, giving comments, or just messages of support. So if you wanna learn, or want to see some of the process I use, you can watch me online. That would be really nice to me.
Do you ever use Poseable Symmetry? I'm going to say probably not, because you're always in Dynamesh in the beginning, right?
No, I haven't used it. No, actually, I need to be very honest. I never use it in my life, so I don't know how it works.
Okay.
Honestly, but I have to try because other friends told me, like, asked me the same. "Hey, you have to use Poseable Symmetry." I never used it before, honestly. Is it too difficult to use?
Yeah, it won't work with Dynamesh though, because
It
the
won't work with
vertex
that?
orders have to be same on both
Oh,
sides of the axis in order for it to
oh,
work.
okay, I see.
The geometry can't change
Oh,
because
okay,
that's what
okay.
it's looking at. It's looking at the left and right side and seeing the vertex are in the same spot and the same matching up.
Uh-huh.
So when you go move around, it knows that if your hand's above the head and the other hand's below the body, it knows those are the same thing on either
Okay.
side. But if you're using Dynamesh, you keep changing your vertex order, so we
Okay, okay.
can't monitor that.
Okay, okay. Okay, I see.
Just for everyone's knowledge too, because
Yeah.
people were asking.
Oh, yeah. Perfect. Yep. How much time do we have, Paul?
15 minutes.
15 minutes. Okay. I want to. Okay, I think you already see how this work and the importance of keep it low, and let's use this just a little bit. This is a great tool that it comes only in 2020, right? Since 2020, this silhouette thing.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, that is new for 2020. Yes, and you can even
2020.
put an image in there too if you want.
Yeah. You know that's it has great features, but this one in particular is awesome because you can see your silhouette, which is super important to get good silhouettes, and you can check it everywhere and every time. And I think it's pretty cool to have this, and you can see if you don't see with the shader. If you take a look here, you can this thing could reveal or help you to reveal some things that is not working properly, and you can change it on the fly. I think it's pretty cool, and yeah, you can scale it as whatever you want. And another
Yeah, I
thing,
find it very useful for
yeah,
myself. I see myself, me, when I'm sculpting as well, looking between both a lot.
yeah, it's super useful. Yeah, super useful. And I want to show you some other things before time ends. Yeah, well, maybe what other thing could be interesting? Do you have any questions from the audience?
We've been hitting them. That's what I've been throwing these questions. I've been throwing. A lot of them are coming from the audience. Hold on. Now there's been a bunch of chatter, so let me
Okay.
find something I haven't asked you. Have you ever taught any classes in collectibles, or have thought about teaching any classes in collectibles? I know that question came through. I didn't have an opportunity to ask you.
Yeah, maybe in the future. Maybe in the future. Nowadays, I'm just testing how it works the classes on these live streamings, and maybe in the future I want to teach some for collectibles and stuff like that. And but there's a lot of things that you can find on YouTube. Honestly, I mean, for collectibles, is the only thing that separates that work from others. It is that you have to think in the joints, in the keys, the male and female key, and try to make everything like closed. Those are technical parts, but the most important ones are the ones it comes from the sculpting process, which is the same thing that I'm doing right now. I think that's the most important thing. Yeah, but maybe in the future I will do some classes and courses. Nowadays it's with 2 kids in quarantine, it's impossible. It's impossible. Yeah, I don't know if you can, if the people can hear, but I think my younger baby is crying like a crazy, and the other one is singing, and it is almost 12 at night. at 11 at night. So quarantine is affecting our lives in a crazy way, dude. So creating courses is not the best moment to do it.
I know you're not going to have much time for this, but just also for you, maybe, or even Fridays too.
Yeah.
People were asking about any tips and tricks you have for all the detailing that you did on, say, like your Captain America or your Flash. A lot of people were asking about that. I know you don't have a lot of time left, but
Yeah. We're going to see that after I finish the guy I'm sculpting during the live streamings. We're going to see how to, create hair, create details, expressions. I don't know, texture, probably poly paint. I'm not a painter, so my poly paint is pretty basic. But I'm going to show that too, and what else? Suit designs, panel looping, group loops. I will basically show everything during my live streamings, but it takes time, so it will take a few Fridays to get there, but we'll do.
So at this point, if you have to cut him up, what are your go-to tools inside of ZBrush for you cutting him up?
Yeah, I will use mask a lot. I mean, I will say that I will need more for a clean cut. It will probably need more polygons, but let's say I want to cut this. The worst thing could happen. It is have to cut a guy like with torso naked, the naked torso, because the only way you can cut it, or maybe the best way, it is through the deltoids, and it is awful to see a line here because it doesn't matter how tidy, clean you are, or picky in the production. You will see this line. So as far as I know, this is the best way to cut it. But let's say we want to cut this from here, and you define. We're going to refine this a little bit, and what I use, it is this option here, edge loop mask border. If you press that, it will create, of course, Paul, but it will create a kind of a smoother line that if you only, because if we have a mask and we press here Ctrl W, it will create a mask from selection, but it will take the polygons you have masked. So with this option, you're creating a mask from the selection, or better say from the masked part, but with an edge loop, so it will be a little bit more smooth, right? So then basically what I do is we'll duplicate this. I take this arm, delete hidden, close holes, and what I do now is I keep this. I press Ctrl Shift click, so I keep these close holes. I create an edge loop, right? Click all. I Ctrl click, select this part. I basically scale it down, put it like this. I select this again. This is a process, of course. I will show you later on my live streamings with more slowly. And I go to deformation. I click in this circle, I put it off, and I polish. And actually what I do, sorry, I forgot to edge here, and I will keep this, and I will polish this, so it's better. I polish this again, just a few times, and maybe you can smooth it out. And one cool thing about the new Sculpting mode was you put it into the 19?
2018. 2019. Yeah,
19.
2019.
Okay, 19. This is a cool feature, so you can read off these edges, and I will turn off polypaint. I make it this super smooth, so it will not cause you any issues, any trouble when you are using this to cut the other part. Right, so you have this, then you put a key inside. Let's say you put a... Oh, what happened? Here. Okay, this guy here. Blah. This is... let me... Okay. Let's make this like a taper form. Okay, whatever. Just imagine you have this like a taper, like with this part of, how do you call this? Like a taper. Taper it exists?
Yeah, taper. No, taper. You're right. Taper
okay,
in an
taper.
English term. Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm
So
creating,
it gets smaller at the top, like a pyramid.
Yeah, like a pyramid. Yeah, I'm creating English words on the fly. And
no, you're good.
Okay, cool, awesome. So you go here. Oh, was this here? Yeah, I think it was this. Yeah, so you do exactly the same here. Close holes. That's it. So now you have your arm. Okay, just make sure your key is not going too far, otherwise you will have some problems. Perfect.
Yeah, breaking through.
Yeah, here. So now you have to put your male key in the subtraction mode, live boolean, and voila. Right? And if you want to move the key, if you have selected the key before that no, I didn't. Okay, this is something that I usually do. It is I select the key, I keep it there, right? So if you only move this, and if you go there, what's happening? Oh no, here. Oh, okay, I'm in solo mode. I'm sorry. So if you have there, you can place your key, and this is a very cool feature because you can see it in real time. And after you have the key there, you just go and boolean, make boolean mesh. It will give you doesn't matter. Press again, boolean mesh. Okay, turn off boolean, insert, bring your model, and there, right there, and okay, what happened? Okay, here, this is model. Yes, this is it. So, okay, right there. Okay, we made a key. Right? Easy, fast, and thank you so much Pixologic to create the live boolean system, because before boolean exists, we have to make this with Dynamesh, and it was a huge amount of time we have to spend, in order to get good results. So. Yeah.
So really quick, Daniel, can you do me a favor? Because someone was asking me where the edge loop mask border button is. So I put it in the chat for everybody. It's in tool geometry in the edge. But something for everybody. The shortcut to that is actually Control-Shift-E, as in excellent. And can you do one thing for me? Can you scroll over in your custom UI? Hold the Control key and scroll over that button, the edge loop mask border button. The button down by you have in your edge. Yeah, there you go. If you guys scroll over and hold down the Control key, it'll actually tell you the path. So if he holds down can you hold down the Control key for me real quick?
Control? What?
while you're hovering over the button, hold down Control.
I'm pressing Control.
There you go. Yeah. So you guys can see at the bottom there, every button and slider inside of ZBrush tells you where it actually lives in the UI. No matter where it is sitting in the UI, it'll tell you the home, in essence, for the UI. So if you guys ever get someone's custom UI, I know somebody asked for Daniel's, but this is his personal UI. That will show you guys destinations as well, where buttons and sliders live.
Yeah, don't worry. I can show you. Actually, if you go to my YouTube channel and the live streaming videos, you will, in the description below, you will find a link where you can download my UI. So you can use it.
There you go.
Yep. So if there's any more questions, I think I cover everything, but if you have any questions.
Okay, I'm just going through, making sure we didn't miss anything that you'll be able to answer right now for the end of this stream. If you're asking about that feature, is it only in ZBrush 2020? No, that edge loop mask border is pretty old. Yeah, it's pretty. It's I don't even know what is this. This is year 2020. Yeah. I want to say that's maybe 6 to 8 years old.
Yeah. Actually, I would say 6 years, easily.
Yeah, easily. And I might lean more towards the 8-year mark on that one. Yeah. We added that one a little bit around after the other feature that Daniel brought up that he likes to use, group loops, and then there's the panel loops. So I think it was added, if I remember right around panel loops. Somewhere around that.
Yeah, somewhere.
But it's been there for a while. But it's definitely a very handy feature. That's a great tip he shared with you guys.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so again, for the custom UI for those, he's got it on his YouTube channel. Someone's also asking, do you sculpt traditionally, or are you only sculpting digitally these days?
I tried at the beginning. I did a few things, but small things, and but I realized that my hands was too big on my head, not on my brain, not too smart to deal with traditional sculpting. So I quickly put my time. I spent my time on ZBrush, and I think it was smart. Actually, quick advice to everyone there. I love traditional sculpting. I really love it. But if you want to work right now globally, and even more right now during this pandemic, digital is one of the best way to get a job in the industry. Most of the traditional artists I know that working professionally, they are using ZBrush as well. So I'm not trying to promote in ZBrush, which is an amazing software, of course I will, but I'm just saying that digitally right now, it doesn't matter. It is just a tool. So don't worry. It won't make you better or worse than if you work in traditional or digital, but it will give you a lot of job opportunities in nowadays. So take that in mind.
All right. So Daniel, I wanted to thank you for taking time in your evening to be with us on this ZBrush Master. Daniel's actually the end of season 1. Season 2 is starting up next week. So we're, again, continuing these series every week. They're every Tuesday. They're going to be at different times because obviously as like Daniel's in a different part of the world than I am right now, and artists that we get will be all around the world. So they'll be at different times. So you guys want to check out more of that, you want to visit the ZBrushLIVE.com, and there's a calendar there that you guys can check out as well. And for those that have tuned in and never used ZBrush before or even know what the heck we're talking about right now, there is a free trial for 30 days of ZBrush that you guys can definitely download and start playing with. And this stream is recorded, and it is available for rewatch on the Pixologic YouTube channel. And, of course, we also are broadcasting to Twitch. It'll stay on Twitch for a short period of time. But if you want to, you can also go to our Pixologic YouTube channel to rewatch this stream. So, Daniel, thank you for doing this with us.
Please, it was a pleasure. Awesome. I had a blast. I hope you find this useful. And if you have any questions or feedback, whatever, just hit me on my social medias. I'm always answering. Sometimes I it takes some time because I have many things to do, but I will definitely answer you. And if you want to follow my channel, my YouTube channel, to see more content, more free educational content, that will be awesome too. So thank you so much, Paul, once again for having me here, and it was a real pleasure. And I'm sure all the next people that come after me will have great tips to you guys. So don't miss it.
Yeah, definitely keep tuning in. Daniel, it's been a pleasure. It was amazing just watching you when you started sculpting, and like I'm not kidding. It looked like I was watching a playback, like fast playback time lapse of you sculpting, but you were just going at it. And it's amazing to just see artists like you and talented people like you just go at it.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. It means a lot. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Do you have any last minute things you want to say, Daniel, before I do the final sign off, or you're good?
Thank you to everyone. Honestly, just use your time nowadays. We are going through this special moment in globally, and I did it. I'm trying to do it with this channel and putting information there, and it was not only good for people that they trying to start with the ZBrush and with the digital sculpting, but also it really helped me to practice more and to understand more what I'm doing, and to find the best way to keep improving myself. So I will say that to everyone who's listening, just try to do something, try to put your time, use your time wisely. And there's a lot of jobs right now for everyone. You just need to practice, put a lot of passion, and that will lead you to a job or whatever you want to do. Just do it. Don't put excuses. Don't do it, please. So just put time, study, practice a lot, and do it with passion, and you will see the results with the time. So that's the best thing I think I could say right now to everyone.
Great. Thank you again, Daniel. For those, again, that are interested in following Daniel, in the chat right now is his YouTube, his Instagram, his Facebook, as an art station. So please take the time to go ahead and click those links before we finish this stream off. Again, this has been absolutely an honor, Daniel, to be here with you tonight and look through it. Thank you again for taking your time. This is Paul Gabriel with Pixologic for ZBrush Masters. Thank you all for tuning in, and hope to see you in our streams the rest of the week, and especially in next week's ZBrush Masters with Joseph Drust and Maddie Spencer. Thank you again for tuning. Have a fantastic day or evening wherever you are in the world. This is Paul. I'm out. Daniel, you can go ahead and end the stream now.
Okay.
End the stream now.
Bye-bye, guys. Bye-bye.